On this episode of Locked On Angels, if the Angels don't care, I don't care. So I'm wearing my jersey. I'm going to leave it open. Just don't care. No energy last night. No hitting last night. No defense last night. What's going on with this team? We do have a theory, and we're going to talk about it. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
That went under my legs. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. Let me watch strike three, go right down the middle. If you want to give back to the Super Halo Bros for all this Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. You can leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please subscribe and become a Locked On Everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube, leave a comment. It's really one of the best ways to get in touch with us and be a part of the conversation. And this episode of Locked On Angels is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan in any city, even your rival's city. Check out Booking.com for your stay today.
Happy 4th of July, and thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
It's my brother Mike, who's on one to start this show. Let's talk about it. We're here 5 days a week to put your jersey back on. We're here 5 days a week talking Angels baseball with you Monday through Friday, of course. And we're happy that you decided to join us for this edition of Locked On Angels. On today's show, Carlos Estevez is the AL reliever of the month. Let's talk about it. And the Angels have shown some fight in them, and we have the stat to back that up. But Mike, last night's game was the worst game of the entire season. Let's be real.
It was really bad. The Angels went down early in this game, bottom of the second. With 2 outs, Davis Daniel had a ball hit right back to him. Tailor-made double play, but he threw it low to the second baseman. Drury was coming across really low, couldn't reach to get it. Goes into center field. A run scored on that play.
Drury should have been able to get that. Ron Washington thought he should have been able to get that. He said, we're major leaguers. We need to be able to get that. I don't think that we're the only ones in terms of Angel fandom who thought that Drury should have been able to come up with that ball, but it cost the Angels a run on that play. And so, but also Davis Daniel didn't have a great outing in this one either, compared to what he did last week against the Tigers, which is unfortunate because we're big fans of Davis Daniel. So then the A's scored on a caught stealing play. Theis threw down to second, and the runner took off from third and scored. Now, there was some conversation around, should Zach Neto have thrown home? Should he have gone after the runner in the rundown that they got at first base? Wash didn't think. Afterwards, he said that he didn't think Neto was going to make that play at home because he was all kind of turned around and whatnot. But at that point, it's 2-0, and it's like, okay, the Angels can get back into this one. Unfortunately, it got even more out of hand, right, Mike?
Yeah, the A's added a third and fourth run on home runs, one in the bottom of the fifth and another in the bottom of the sixth. And then, of course, they added on a fifth run as well. And they found themselves just not doing anything in this game. The summary of this game is pretty simple, John. Bats for the Halos did nothing.
No.
Lazy fly balls and non-competitive at bats. The defense was awful. They were not great at all. Second straight night that it felt like they took a nap. And you know when you take a long nap and you're like, oh, what year is it? That's what it felt like when they went out to play in this game. And for goodness sakes, it's the A's. This is not the Yankees. This is not the Dodgers. And they just had no energy at all in this game. And then to top it off, Rengifo leaves with an apparent wrist injury. Thought maybe it was the hamate bone at first because it was on a swing. But John, it was just, it was not great. It was terrible. So talk to me about what you think is happening right now with this team.
Well, you watch what happened in this game and you see Zach Neto have a really awful game at shortstop. That's very much unlike him. We all know that. We all have seen it. And every now and then you're going to have a stinker like that. And that's exactly what happened to Zach Neto in this one. There was a lot of baseballs that went under his glove and he couldn't trap things that kind of bounced on him. And so just a really awful game. But Mike, I tweeted this out and there were some Locked On Everydayers that were in agreement. It seemed like, what a different game when Logan O'Hoppe is not behind the plate.
Right.
I just wonder if this would have been different. Now, I know that the Angels lost 7-1 in the game that Ohapi started on Tuesday night, but I will say not 7-1, 7-5,
Yeah.
but it was 7-1 for most of the game is what I should say. Now, they did rally, they tried to come back and came up short, and they've been doing a lot of that, and we're going to talk about it. But I kind of wonder, did the team chemistry just get all messed up from what they had going last week? And I bring that up because Drury's back. He's in the lineup. He's playing second base again. Matt Thaiss was behind the dish last night and was not helpful in any form or fashion.
Well, and here's what I'll say real quick. Got this text from Locked On Everyday or Cope. Someone needs to tell Thaiss to stop doing so much back there, moving, jumping up to fake a throw, blocking the umpire from seeing things.
Yes.
It's just mass chaos back there. And then the only thing that has he's so chaotic. The only thing that's not chaotic, that has no energy, is his lollipop throw. Your favorite thing, his lollipop throw back to home plate. Like, he just very nonchalant. I mean, it feels like he's trying to do too much because he hasn't been in there, and he wants to be impressive, and he wants to make sure that everything's going the way that it needs to go. And I need to make sure I'm coming through, and I need to make sure this guy's doing this. And it's like, Matt, calm down.
Yes.
Like, did you take an Adderall before? Like, I mean, this guy was just all over the place last night.
I thought Adderall calms you down. I've been hearing that a lot lately. Somebody needs an Adderall. I thought it calmed you down. Maybe I have that backwards, but
maybe, I don't know.
But listen, Mike, there's no cohesion that we had last week. Now, you and I had to stave off the hopium because there was a lot of hopium last week in terms of beating the A's, sweeping them, beating the Tigers 3 out of 4. Great stuff. But we also said Sunday was kind of a necessary evil because it brought everybody back down to earth. Now, that was a competitive game against the Tigers on Sunday. This was not competitive whatsoever because Joey Estes, who got to the Angels last week and kept them off the board, well, they got to the bullpen last week, and that's how they swept the A's. This week, he goes complete game shutout, 9 innings, 92 pitches with his 5.64 ERA, or maybe it was 5.46, but it was up there.
Right.
And so they just were not able to do anything against Joey Estes. And so I feel like there's something to be said about the fact that, hey, Drury's healthy again. Let's get him in this lineup. Of course, that's what you're going to do. That's the natural reaction. Somebody said on Twitter that I between like Guillorme and Kevin Pillar and Ohapi not being in the lineup, that feels like a much different team than we saw last week. And I kind of wonder if today in the getaway game, it's going to be a 107 Pacific time game. I kind of wonder if that's the lineup that we'll see so that they can salvage this series. But there's something to be said about the guys who have been fighting and trying to keep this team afloat as best as they can. Obviously, they're not going to the playoffs, but this is, I'm starting to worry, like you said, when Mike Trout comes back, does that throw off the mojo? Does that throw off the vibes? Because it feels like it's already kind of started to happen with Brandon Drury. Maybe I'm just putting too much into that, but it was a different lineup and a different team who just couldn't get anything going last night against Joey Estes.
Well, we talk a lot about Rengifo and how he just needs consistent bats to be the player that he is, and he's shown that this year. Johnny, I'm not convinced that Brandon Drury isn't a garbage time guy. I mean, he put up his numbers last year in garbage time, and I know that we got him and everybody was excited. I was excited, but this guy hasn't done a thing for us when it matters, and then when it doesn't matter, he's done a lot of good stuff for us. And then this year, he just, every time he gets in there, there's always and Brandon Drury missed this, or he struck out, or he didn't, and I know he got on base a couple of times 2 nights before, but who cares? I mean, the guy's not making an impact, and it seems like it's throwing off the vibes, right? The vibes are off. Something's off with this team, and that off day ruins them.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden they can't beat the A's. They're getting dominated by this A's pitching staff. And I know that, every once in a while baseball is baseball and they're going to get you. But Davis Daniel didn't pitch terrible in this game. And they just couldn't get him any offensive numbers and put it on the board. And so he's going to do what he has to do to try to keep them in this game, and made a couple of mistakes, but you don't worry about those mistakes if you're scoring for him, if you're competitive in this game. And they were not competitive at all. These at-bats were not competitive last night.
No, and that's the major difference is they got Davis Daniel a lead early against the Tigers last week.
Yeah.
And so he was able to cruise a little bit better. I think that changes your entire mentality as a pitcher. Mike, coming into this game, I thought, hey, you know what? Davis Daniel did what he did against the Tigers. The A's are offensively a worse team. And so they were able to get to him. And again, you kind of wonder if it's that chaotic energy of Matt Thaiss behind the plate. It wasn't Logan O'Hoppe calling the game like it was against the Tigers the other night. So I think there's something really to be said about having a guy who everyone looks at as captain, Logan O'Hoppe, back behind the dish, and just able to control a game a little bit better. But it also would have helped to have Guillorme in there at second base or what have you. I think it would have made a huge difference.
Well, and what I don't understand is I get days off. You need to give your players days off. This felt like
it's a getaway day tomorrow. Why you put Matt Thaiss in on the getaway day, not in the middle of the series? I don't understand.
Yeah, this just felt like everybody's off today, right? We had a big everybody played last night. Everybody's off today, and of course it's going to throw off the energy and it's going to throw off the momentum that you feel. And maybe Wash felt like he needed to do that after the loss the night before, but felt like they would have some momentum coming into this game. I know there was a discussion about Moniak beforehand and him not being in there, and then the left-handers pitching and all of those things like for the future and what's happening. But honestly, it didn't feel like a good managerial decision to pull three of your strong starters out of this game.
Yeah, you would have thought that they would have put their best foot forward after losing the game on Tuesday night.
Right.
So all of that to say, it just was a disaster class of a game.
Yeah.
And look, they've lost by worse numbers. There have been worse situations this season for the Angels. But to watch them play today, like Nolan Shawnuel couldn't get that pop-up in foul territory.
Right.
And Matt Thaiss is just watching it happen in front of him. Like, help a brother out, dude. Like, do something out there. And so it just, again, it goes back to the lack of cohesion, the lack of consistency, the lack of being able to string hits together and do anything. It's funny to me that I remember this time last year because we were at the 4th of July party, and that's when Rendon got hurt against the Padres, and things started to look really bad for the Angels. Shortly after that, Trout gets hurt with a hamate bone injury, and here we are again a year later, where it's like, ooh, that was the worst game of the season. Is this going to be the vibes from here on out? That's what I'm most concerned with when it comes to the Halos right now. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. The Angels are playing the A's at 1:07 Pacific time. Ronci Contreras is going to get the start out there. You can catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Angels. Coming up on Locked On Angels, Carlos Estevez is an award winner, and his trade value is growing. We'll tell you all about it coming right up.
It's summertime, especially in Southern California. It's really, really hot. It's going to be in the upper 90s, like 100s this weekend. Not good, but it does mean that it's barbecue season. So get outside, get in shade, put on some sunscreen, and you can stock up on all of your favorite grilling items, and you can earn cash back when you purchase using Ibata. You don't have to worry about choosing between burgers or hot dogs. It can be both, John. Burgers and what are you going to have today? You're going to have a burger and a hot dog?
Oh, both. Obviously.
Perfect. Yeah. And we used Ibata to get this food, which is fantastic. When you use Ibata, you can watch your cash back grow with every single purchase. Ibata is a free app that gives you the most cash back every time you shop on hundreds of items, from grocery stores to beauty supplies to even toys. Having some fun buying toys for yourself or for the kids. The average Ibata user earns $256 per year. That could be a cost of an entire shopping trip, maybe buy a cheap flight that you've been eyeing, or go out to that fancy dinner that you've been craving. Other apps just give you points that don't amount to very much. With Ibata, just add your offers in the app, upload your receipt, and get real cash that you can cash out to your bank account using PayPal or gift cards, whatever you need. Join the over 50 million savers and earn cash back every time you shop from over 2,700 brands. Right now, Ibata is offering our listeners $5 just for trying it out. All you got to do is use our promo code Locked On MLB when you register. So download the Ibata app and then use our promo code Locked On MLB when you register. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store, and use our promo code Locked On MLB.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. And every dayers, once you're done here on Locked On Angels, head on over to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed just for you to bring you the biggest stories across the sports world. It's got can't miss analysis, opinions, news, all the stuff you enjoy when it comes to good sports talk. Streaming 24/7 on YouTube and the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. And speaking of your team every day, the Angels are back at it today, 1:07 Pacific time. Maybe you're in the pool, put the game on the radio. Maybe you can listen. You can listen to it on Sirius XM, the hometown broadcast with the SXM app. All you got to do is search Angels.
Johnny Carlos Estevez was named the AL reliever of the month for June. Here's his stats.
Kamehameha. Here we go. Kamehameha.
He's firing it across.
Yeah.
Here's his stats for the month. 10 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 0 walks, 10 Ks, 8 saves, 8 out of 8 in save opportunities.
Let's go.
Month. These stats are the best that he's had with the Halos. His second best month was last year in April, 132 ERA, 13 2/3 innings pitched, 16 Ks, and 6 saves. In fact, these are the best stats that he's had since April, because his numbers just got progressively worse as the season went on last year. Yeah. And this year didn't start very, very well.
Can I explain Kamehameha for you? Think of it as remember Street Fighter on Super Nintendo? Hadouken!
Yep.
Think of it as a Hadouken, but like a constant energy beam. It's from Dragon Ball Z, by the way. So thank you for letting me geek out and celebrate Carlos Estevez a little bit. Jeff Fletcher took questions on Twitter last week, and one question asked about the expectation of Estevez being traded at the deadline. Jeff Fletcher of the OC Register replied and said, Carlos Estevez is at the top of the list. He's going to be a free agent at the end of the season. He's been pitching very well. Every team is always looking for bullpen help, specifically someone who can pitch in the 8th or 9th inning. So he doesn't have to be a closer necessarily, Mike. So that actually opens up more opportunity to trade Carlos Estevez. Is there a scenario where the Halos don't trade him and extend him instead? And if so, is that wise? What do you say?
I don't think so. I don't think there's a scenario where they don't trade him, because I think that what Perry Minasian has proven is that he's able to find some diamonds in the rough, like Carlos Estevez, and bring them in and have them pitch pretty well and do the job that is needed for the end of the back of the bullpen type of job. Now, what we heard was that Jose Quijada is probably not going to pitch this year. They're probably going to just continue to let him develop, and then next year have him be in the bullpen. And so with him coming back, I think that you have a potential closer piece, somebody that you could try out in spring training, maybe help get some other guys around him. Perhaps even Ben Joyce is somebody that in spring training starts to figure some of that out. You have a lefty and a righty. I think you got 2 really big power arms there. That could be a really good move for the Halos. I just don't see why there would be any scenario that the Angels don't make a move with Carlos Estevez, because I think that right now you're getting him at peak Carlos, and you can get, I think, some good trade pieces for him.
Absolutely. Now, Jeff Fletcher did share what he believes GMPM Perry Minasian is going to do at the deadline. He said the guess here is that Perry Minasian would be open to trading anyone, but he won't be giving those players away for lottery tickets the way he might with an impending free agent. So think somebody who has a couple more years of control on their contract, like a Tyler Anderson or a Luis Rengifo or even a Taylor Ward. It would have to be for players he really likes who could help sooner rather than later. And when he traded Brandon Marsh in 2022, it was to get Logan O'Hoppe. So I think Jeff makes some really good points there. One thing I saw yesterday on The Athletic was Jim Bowden, who I'm just not a fan of Jim Bowden. Everything he has to say about the Angels is always negative. Yeah. And look, there's room for negativity and discussion around the Angels, but like he never talks about them. And he's also like, the Angels, every time he speaks. But I will say this, he did a pretty comprehensive rundown of what kind of deals we could see at the trade deadline. And he named the Angels as definite sellers, which I agree with. And they're only about one of 4, maybe 5 teams who are most definite sellers. He named the White Sox and the Marlins. I'm trying to think of the other team he might have named, probably the Rockies, right? All of that to say, he said that there's going to be a lot of buyer trades. And those are, well, I shouldn't say they're going to be, but if teams want to make a deal, it's a lot of buyers trying to all buy at the same time. So the Angels actually sit in the unique position of being one of a handful of teams who are in the position to sell. They're not going to be trying to exchange a Brandon Marsh for a Logan O'Hoppe because, well, I guess that's not a good example. Maybe a Luis Rengifo for a Luis Arise, right? It's not going to be an even plane. It's going to be sellers and buyers so that the Angels get future pieces in return for their right now pieces. Now I bring up Rengifo, and this whole wrist injury throws a wrinkle into all of that. But I thought he made a really good point in the sense that it's really hard to do a buy trade. It's way easier to do a buyer and seller trade.
Yeah.
So I think that puts the Angels in a very good position to be the one that teams are going to want to deal with. What do you think about what Jim Bowden had to say?
Yeah, I think the Angels are in great position, and I think the Angels need to look just to the south of them and talk to the Padres, because I think the Padres are a team that will buy. I mean, with that roster and with that that salary that they're paying, they're going to buy, and I think that they do need some bullpen help. And so I think that I could see a Carlos Estevez and a Matt Moore, or Carlos Estevez and a Luis Garcia go there. And all indications are the Padres have some really good pieces, even though they've made some big trades recently in the last couple of years.
Yeah, they still have a top-rated farm system down there. They could go north, Mike, up the 5 as well. And if Artie can get over his pride and actually deal with the Dodgers too, right?
Yeah, I think that would be the second option. I think a third option would be probably a team on the East Coast. I could see maybe the Yankees being a team that would inquire. You just never know what you're going to get from the Yankees, because a lot of their guys that come up, I think one of the reasons why you see some of these young guys thrive in New York is because it's New York, and the bright lights bring out something powerful in these guys. So I think that that's probably those 3 teams, Dodgers, Padres, Yankees, would be the teams that the Angels should have conversations with, and conversations starting yesterday.
Mike Trout for Miguel Andujar and Clint Frazier. How many times did we hear that over the years from Yankee fans? I think the Orioles are a great matchup because they have one of the top systems in the entire league. I even think that maybe the Cubs, if they stay within 5 games of the wild card, I know that they haven't been great lately, but you add a couple of pieces there and they might be back in the game. So it's going to be really interesting. The one thing we have to really cross our fingers for, Mike, is that Perry Manassian does the right thing before the trade deadline.
It's time to travel this summer, and you can explore those U.S. cities like you've always wanted to, but you don't have to do it on your own. You can let your friends and our friends at Booking.com help you to plan out your adventure with hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, so much more. You're going to find just your perfect stay with Booking.com. And even if your travels are focused on following the Halos wherever they go, Booking.com has got you covered. From hotels that overlook the stadium to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this Major League Baseball season. So take all the guesswork out of travel, flex your booking power with our new everydayers, Booking.com. Book today on the site, or go to Booking.com and download the app right now.
Can I do the phrase for this one?
Absolutely. You ready for this?
Booking.com. Booking.yeah.
And if you're planning on going to a game, you got to download the Game Time app. They are the authorized ticket marketplace for Major League Baseball. They have everything that you need, and they're obsessed with getting you the right ticket at the right price, even if it's not for sports, if it's for concerts, comedy, theater, and so much more. They have exclusive in-app flash deals that have really good deals on like seats for events, wherever you're going. They have zone deals where you choose the section and Game Time chooses the seats. And then, of course, all-in pricing. This shows you the total right up front. There's no surprises. You get a panoramic view of where your seat is at, so you know exactly where you're going to be and what it'll look like. And then Game Time has the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take all of the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app and use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB. They're going to give you $20 off your first purchase. Again, download the app, use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB, $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
Mike, one of the things that might annoy some fans in a season like this is after the game, you talk about, oh, this Halo team has fight.
Yeah.
They got a lot of fight in them. And sometimes we're on the benefit of that fight because they come back and they do what they need to do to win the game. And sometimes you have fight, but it comes up short, like on Tuesday night. And so what do we mean by fight? Well, they're battling. They keep battling. They're never out of a game. Even, I would say if it wasn't Joey Estes and he hadn't just done what he did last week in the middle of the game, I would have felt comfortable with saying, I think the Angels can come back. I think that they can make this game competitive. But that's the thing is they're battling. They're never out of a game. They're learning how to win. But if you follow the stats, there is actually some data to back up this idea of fight. Why don't you talk about it?
Angels rank 11th in baseball in runs per game from the 6th inning to the 9th inning. So they are 11th in baseball in scoring runs 6, 7, 8, and 9 innings. And we've seen that. We've seen them do that this year, even just in game 1 of this series against the A's. Here's why it seems very different, too, compared to last year. Last year, in 2023, the Halos ranked 28th in runs per game in the 6, 7, 8, and 9 innings. 2022, they were 25th and also 25th in 2021. So this year, they are finding ways to score runs and finding ways to get to the bullpen, and they're doing it pretty consistently over the course of the entire season. They're ranked 11th right now. So they're finding ways to come back. They're finding ways to fight. So when you hear somebody say, man, there's a lot of fight in this team and they still lost, what they're talking about is that this team is finding ways to try to score. Here's the question, though, John. Do you think that this is a sign of a future filled with come from behind wins for our Halos?
Yeah, they're going to make that rally monkey work overtime when it's a home game. They're coming from behind in the 6th to the 9th inning. Mike, here is what I have to say about this. To me, this isn't something that, yes, there's data there to back it up, but I don't know that it's a, how should I say this? Like a repeatable stat, if that makes sense, as in, you can expect a guy to hit a certain amount of home runs, or you might expect them to steal so many certain bases. It's kind of like hitting with runners in scoring position. That's not always a repeatable thing. The guys can do really well, they can do really poorly, but it's circumstantial. I also think that this is circumstantial. I think it's something to get excited about for sure, but I think it's very circumstantial until you dive in just a little bit deeper. And here's what I mean. When you have a starter on the mound and the Angels go up there, let's say Zach Neto, like the other day, trying to swing for the fences, trying to crush a home run. He goes into the dugout before his third at bat. Washington says, hey, you need to adjust. You're not going to find the answer in the iPad.
Right.
You're swinging for the fences. Stop doing that and focus on contact. So maybe by that point, the starter is out of the game and the bullpen has come in. It's the 6th inning. It's the 7th inning. Neto's getting his third at bat. He adjusts his swing because he hasn't had success in the first 5 to 6 innings against the starter. We saw that last week. The Angels could not get to Joey Estes. Now, the A's bullpen, obviously they have Mason Miller, who's very exciting. That's who the Angels almost came back against, by the way. So take that and put a tick in the column for Ben Joyce as being the best flamethrower in the American League in baseball. But what I am trying to say is I think that this stat of them earning runs and scoring runs from the 6th to the 9th inning is based on the idea that this team is making adjustments. And I look at the last 3 years, like you said, 28th last year, 25th, and in 22 and 21. That didn't look like a team that was making adjustments. That looked like a big team, or I should say a team full of veteran guys doing what they always do when they go to the plate. So what this tells me is that this team is coachable. And it's usually the young guys. It's usually Oakland, it's Neto, it's Shawnuel. Hey, why don't you hit that one the other way? You keep trying to pull it, go the other way. Now, would I like to see that with Joe Adell and Mickey Moniak? Of course. Joe Adell got a nice piece of the baseball last night. It was a long fly out. But to me, I'm like, well, that's better than a little squibber for a ground out or a strikeout like he usually does. So I guess what I'm saying is when you see these numbers of how they're able to fight back from the 6th to the 9th inning, yes, it could be a bad bullpen. Yes, it could be this, it could be that. But I think this indicates that the team is coachable. What are your thoughts on the matter?
I think you're right, and I think what the young guys are showing is that they are willing to pivot and they're willing to adjust. I just love that this has been a different team late inning than it has been the last 3 years.
Definitely.
Which just tells me that the chemistry is new, the energy is new, and I know that they looked terrible last night and they looked not great the night before.
It's one game.
It's 1 or 2 games, right? Like, and this is an anomaly, and I think that there's a lot of chemistry conversation that we could really dive into that we didn't do ad nauseum in the first segment. But I think that has a lot to do with the team as it is right now. But if this team is functioning pretty consistently in the way that we expected, I think that we're going to continue to see some growth in areas where they just haven't been great. I would say that this stat, 6, 7, 8, 9 inning, being the 11th ranked team in scoring runs, I think it also is an indication that perhaps we should start paying attention to what they do with runners in scoring position. Because if they're willing to pivot late in the game, maybe their pivots will then start to happen earlier in the game and they'll get to those starters, because Angels have proven that if they can get the starter out of the game, they're going to get to the bullpen. Maybe perhaps they'll start to really focus in and have some competitive at-bats against the starter. That could be a game changer for this team. I just love that there is a mindset that's choosing to grow on this team, because you're right. This team has been filled with players that haven't decided to grow. And a part of that is something that we've talked about on this show in years past. We're not getting our guys. We're bringing in guys from all of these other places that are coming in with their philosophies and their perspectives and their energy and their posture, right? Anthony Rendon is an example of that. I'm coming in, I got a World Series, I'm going to come and do what I normally do, right? But the difference now, what we're finding is that we have, let's call them Perry Manassian guys, Neto and Oakland and Shawnuel, who are coming in and their jerseys are dirty and they're frustrated with themselves and they're looking for how they can make a difference and how they can pivot. And that's why I think we're seeing some major differences in the late innings for the Halos.
I think the one thing that needs to change is they have to be more competitive in their at-bats against the starter. I loved at the beginning of the season when you had Nolan Shawnuel and Anthony Rendon making the starter out there work and waste 18 pitches between the two of them. I think that's something that's missing. I think that's what really happened to them last night. Nothing competitive, not fouling things off. Even if you get the strikeout or the fly out, you got to make that guy work. I think that's the one element that's missing right now and could be an indication of why they aren't scoring quite as much as they do later in the game.
Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Angels play the A's today, 107 Pacific time.
Specifically.
Catch every pitch of the Angels hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search Angels.
Hey, give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels and at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. Whether you're watching or listening, come on over to today's show. Get in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Mike, what do we have on deck for tomorrow's show?
We got Fan Mail Friday, Johnny. Specifically, we got Fan Mail Friday, so get your questions to us. We'd love to hear from you. Comment below. Leave us a voicemail, 30 seconds or less, and we would love to get your voice on the show. Fan Mail Friday's happening tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
All right, everybody, have a happy 4th of July. Until tomorrow's show, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here with us, and we'll see you back here on Friday. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn?